Now, we all know of, or at least heard of, the wild success of the Western Sydney Wanderers winning the Asian Champions League in 2014, after the club only being born 2 years prior. But one story we don't hear about a lot is when Adelaides United had the chance to reach the top of Asian football in 2008, when they also made the Champions League final. Adelaide qualified for the group stage of the Asian Champions League by finishing second in the 2006-2007 A-League season, only behind Melbourne Victory, who they lost to in the grand final in 2007 in dramatic fashion.
It's time for one final flourish. Sarkis, Christian Sarkis, that is perhaps the pick of the bunch. What a way to finish it at Telstra Dome. Brilliant! And it's 6 for the victory.
If Adelaide wanted to progress in the competition, they would have to win the group. It was going to be a tough task against teams from all over Southeast Asia. They had to play away in China against Shangshan Yatai, South Korea against Ponghang Steelers, and maybe logistically the hardest away trip in Vietnam against Binh Duong. Going into the final match day, Adelaide were top of the group with 13 points from 5 games. Very impressive considering the travel involved in playing these Asian teams. But their biggest game was still ahead of them, playing away at Shangshan Yatai, their closest competitor and their biggest threat to them not making out of the group. They had previously played each other just 2 months earlier when Adelaide hosted the Chinese team, and it ended in a 0-0 draw. But this was going to be a much tougher task, going to China and playing a team who had won the Chinese Super League the year prior. Luckily for Adelaide, they were able to hold out for another 0-0 draw, which would see them progress to the knockout stages of the Champions League. This was the first time any Australian club had ever reached the knockout stages of the Champions League. Now, this was only the second season Australian clubs could compete in Asia, as only 2 years prior the Australian Football Federation left the Oceanic Football Confederation to join the Asian Football Confederation. This move was made to increase the level of competition for Australian clubs in the A-League and the national team, whilst providing easier qualification for World Cups. And for Adelaide, the competition was about to be taken up to that next level that Football Australia was hoping for, as they took on Japanese side Kashima Antlers in the quarterfinals. Kashima had only lost 1 game so far in the tournament, but had won all other 5 games, with the best result coming in matchday 5, when they won 8-1 against Kuring Thai Bank. The first leg of the quarterfinal was played in Japan, where Adelaide came away the happier of the two teams, as the game ended in a 1-1 draw, with Adelaide local Travis Dodd scoring the opener before Robbie Cornthwaite bundled home an unfortunate own goal to draw Kashima level. Going into the second leg, Adelaide had lost 2 league games in a row to rivals Melbourne Victory and Sydney FC. And on the other hand, Kashima hadn't lost in 4 games, but in front of a sellout crowd at Hindmarsh Stadium, Robbie Cornthwaite made up for his own goal in the first leg by scoring the one and only goal in this game, on the 73rd minute off a Casio Oliveira cross to seal the progression to the semi-finals of the Asian Champions League. With the competition getting to the pointy end, Adelaide United were drawn against Kuruchi, a side from Uzbekistan. They had impressed so far in the campaign, making it out of the group against a side like Al Ittihad from Saudi Arabia, who were back-to-back Champions League winners just 3 years prior. Adelaide were drawn at home in the first leg, and with the away leg being an 11,029 kilometre journey that was over 20 hours long, they knew that they would have to get a decent result at home. And luckily for Adelaide, they did just that. With 3 second-half goals, Adelaide got the result that they were chasing. The result was impressive considering that before Diego's opening goal in the 57th minute, Kuruchi were the dominant team. But after the first goal went in, Adelaide turned the screws, and with additional goals from Fabian Barbiero and Cristiano, the game was sealed. After the triumphant first leg and a long away day to Uzbekistan, all Adelaide had to do was not concede 3 or more goals. And thankfully, they did just that. They did lose the game 1-0, but that would be enough to see Adelaide become the first of 2 Australian teams ever to make an Asian Champions League final, where unfortunately they met their match in Gamba, Osaka. The Japanese team had actually already played an Australian team during the tournament in Melbourne Victory, where they played and beat them twice in the group stage, with the game being played in Melbourne, a thrilling 4-3 win for Osaka. Final got off to a bad start for Adelaide, losing 3-0 in the first leg away in Japan, conceding goals from the tournament's second top goal scorer Lucas, midfielder Endo, and no, not that Endo, and Yasada, who scored his only goal for Osaka in 111 appearances in this game. The second leg saw Adelaide chase the game from the start, but Osaka were once again to outclass the A-League team, with 2 early goals from Lucas, enough to see Gamba Osaka win the game 2-0 and win the final 5-0 on aggregate. And this is their one and only Champions League to this day. It was absolute heartbreak for not just Adelaide United, but Australian football in general at that time, and maybe the closest Adelaide United will ever go to lifting the Champions League trophy. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you drop a comment on what Australian football story I should cover next time. Until next time, I will see you soon.